Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, July the 31st, 2023. Tomorrow, on August the 1st, is a full moon, bringing a lot of matters to light, a time of culmination, generally a time of testing. But the Aquarius full moon is a major full moon that tests relationships because the sun's in Leo that rules the individual, opposite the moon in Aquarius that represents the collective, the world. So it's you against the world being tested. However, Venus, the planet of relationships, as I've been talking about in recent videos, is now retrograde from July the 22nd to September the 3rd. And Venus in retrograde is reevaluating and testing relationships. It's also testing creative projects. And here's the writer's strike and the actor's strike. All these creative unions with the retrograde is really creating a lot of tension and stress to make compelling a lot of change. Individually, this first part of this week could be a breakthrough with relationships or a breakdown. It just depends on how open with communications with each other you have with each other. Now, on Monday, the 31st, the moon is in Capricorn before moving into Aquarius. And that full moon and all that powerful energy is really coming to a head. Capricorn is very realistic. It's very sensible, very practical. So you can really accomplish a lot with all this energy on Monday. Plus the moon by mid-morning Pacific time will be in harmony with progressive, innovative Uranus. So you can try all new things. You can shake things up. You may be more interested in new technologies, new ideas. So Tuesday, August the 1st, is the full moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign of humanitarian issues, social issues, and with this full moon, it could bring a lot of this to a head with people protesting. You might be getting involved in social movements. Now, on the 1st, with that full moon, discerning communication Mercury will be in opposition or blocked by Saturn. So it's all that pressure for a change. That Mercury-Saturn could be some endings, could be some worries. But the good news is Mars, ambitious, assertive Mars, will be in harmony or a trine to lucky, expansive Jupiter. So the Mercury-Saturn, think of it as a door is closing, and the Mars-Jupiter is now another door is opening. And with the full moon, it's all starting to come to light over these next couple of days. On Wednesday, the moon in mid-morning, still in Aquarius, still in that fullness, will be in a stressful angle to Uranus. Now, Uranus, when it's stressed out, can be rebellious, unpredictable. So in the mid-morning Pacific time, you might be kind of overly emotional, anxious, not centered. There may be some unexpected surprises. Just remember, this too shall pass. Maybe if you're feeling that anxiousness in your body, go exercise, go take a walk, do some meditations. Now the moon will go void, of course, as I talk about usually each week, when the moon is about ready to change signs, but it's no longer making any aspects to other planets. So there's not a lot of planetary energy. The energy is flat. Now this is happening from 2:16 p.m. Pacific time until 8:06 p.m. Pacific time. Then the moon goes into more empathetic, sensitive Pisces. With that void of course moon, it's always advised, it's like a mini Mercury in retrograde. Don't start any major new projects because the energy is just not there for the follow through. The big difference between that intense several days of the full moon in Aquarius, then the moon going into Pisces, Aquarius is more cerebral, more impersonal. Whereas when the moon goes into Pisces, Pisces is more empathetic. It's feeling everybody. It's much more of the heart. On Thursday, the moon in caring, sensitive Pisces, however, will be opposite or confronting rational Mercury around 8-9 a.m. Pacific time. Now, what's happening here is communications, Mercury, could be flip-flopping with irrational responses. That could either be you being really emotional and not as rational, or when you're trying to have a business meeting, or if you're trying to have a heartfelt discussion with your personal relationship, being pressured with Venus in retrograde, then one person is going to be more rational, that's the Mercury, and the other person is going to be more emotional. And with the moon in Pisces, you could be taking everything so personally and having your feelings hurt. But this too shall pass, and there's good news later in the day, around early evening, around 6 p.m. Pacific time, because now that sensitive moon will be in harmony with the expansive, optimistic Jupiter. Good for traveling, good for generosity, good for just feeling more upbeat and luckier. Friday, the moon, as it continues in Pisces, will be in harmony with liberating, innovative Uranus, 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time. Good for new ideas, thinking out of the box. But also you might get involved with new opportunities to join a group, a social movement. That's all part of the Uranus. And the moon in Pisces, once a month, will cross over Neptune, late afternoon Pacific time, 4 to 6 p.m. Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces. So here's the emotional, sensitive moon moving through the sign of Pisces, and late afternoon Pacific time is crossing over Neptune. That moon, Neptune, can be a really inspiring time, a very altruistic time, very spiritual time. That's all on the positive. If the dark side of it, or the less desirable, is emotionally the moon, you're getting lost and confused. Actually, the best way to come out of your own confusion is to help somebody in need, and that'll help you feel more inspired. At 8:19 p.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves that empathetic, sensitive Pisces and moves into more outgoing, assertive, dynamic, fiery Aries, giving a lot of activity for the weekend. On Saturday, there's no important planetary events, but the moon is in fiery Aries in harmony with the sun in Leo. They're both fire signs. When the sun and the moon are in harmony and there's no other distracting energies, it gives a day that's more relaxed, more comfortable, where whatever you're trying to do, it seems to be a lot easier, more effortless. But they're both in fire signs, so it can be very inspiring, inspirational, very active, great for sports, great for a lot of being playful, bringing your inner child out to play or playing with your children. On Sunday, the moon continues in dynamic, fiery Aries. The sun in fiery Leo will be in a hard angle to expansive, optimistic Jupiter. Now, the sun represents the day, and when it's putting a spotlight on Jupiter, it's usually a lucky day, an optimistic day, a day of traveling, a day of education and teaching, all those qualities of Jupiter. But this is a square, a 90-degree angle between the sun and Jupiter. So this tends to cause people to overdo, over-expect, with overinflated expectations, but with a, like I like to always say, with a smile on your face. You're indulging too much food, sugar, desserts, alcohol, spending money extravagantly. You're having the best time, but you could regret it if you're really overdoing it when you wake up tomorrow with a hangover, but still remembering the good times. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.